We can't ignore the Middle East. There are moderates, and we have to aggressively back them and arm them if they are willing to fight Assad.
Hold on for just 1 minute. I do want to bring in Congressman Peter Welch, Democrat from Vermont and the Chief Deputy Whip. Congressman, always good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
At this point, have you made up your mind?
No, I haven't. There's three things. I think, number one, most of us really do believe that Assad did inflict a chemical weapons attack on his own people.
You think all these briefings that have happened, intelligence and non-classified, have convinced most members of Congress of that?
And the videos and just the common sense test. They were launched from government side and they landed in rebel side. And the second thing is that I think most of us do believe that the president has a legitimate argument that a strike is justified. But the third question is really critical and really the gut-wrenching one. Will a strike actually make a bad situation worse, or will it make it better? That's what we're wrestling with. And this whole question of the Assad government is truly terrible, obviously. But that is chaos in the Middle East. And Assad does have some support because the minorities, the Kurds, the Alawites, and the Christians all fear what would happen with a radical Sunni takeover. Also, there's really bad actors on the Sunni rebel side. You know, we see them executing soldiers in cold blood. We see them beheading rival factions. So this is, that's really, I think, a lot of what is causing some of us to ask the question, how will this work and how will it be contained? How will it make a bad situation better?
Well, is the president's strongest argument, maybe, Congressman, the negative, which is that if we don't act, we send the message to places like Iran, we send the message to rogue nations or to terrorist organizations, go ahead, use chemical weapons because there are no consequences.
That's a very compelling argument, and that's why this is such a wrenching decision. I'm glad the president came to the American people, because what I'm seeing is that Vermonters are now getting engaged, and it's a bad decision either way. If we let Assad get away with it, will he do it more? That's a real question, and that's the president's point. On the other hand, if we launch this strike, will we have unintended consequences? Things get out of control. Once you launch that strike, we're not totally in control of the situation, and the American people have seen that all the predictions oftentimes evaporate once the firing begins.
I see two things, and you're one of the people who's, I assume, involved in whipping votes for the House, or at least that's your title. And on one side, you see a lot of reports that say this is dead in the House. The House is not going to vote for this. On the other side, you hear members of the administration say, look, people are holding back when push comes to shove. Most of the members, and certainly on the Democratic side, supporters of the president and those who don't want to weaken his presidency or are concerned about weakening our standing in the world, will eventually vote for. Where do you think the vote stands, Congressman?
You know, I really don't know. We're just back today, so we've all been reading this in newspapers. It's going to be a big deal for us today. I go over and I'm going to be able to read the classified intelligence reports. The president, of course, is going to be addressing the nation tomorrow night. All that's going to be really relevant. The thing that is a fact is that the people in my district are overwhelmingly opposed to this. They're very skeptical, and they're Obama supporters. But they're asking the question, when you unleash the dogs of war, are we able to keep things nicely categorized the way Secretary of State is assuring us we will? And so that's the thing we're wrestling with. Can you have a limited strike that doesn't have unlimited consequences, or consequences that make things worse, not better?
And you can't ignore the implications beyond Syria, because an awful lot has been written on it. I'd love your take on this. If the president does not get what he wants here, and he's expending so much political capital, making all these phone calls, stopping by the vice president's house last night to talk to Senate Republicans, going to the Hill tomorrow, rare appearance, to talk to Senate Democrats, 6 interviews today, talking to the American people together tomorrow on television. If it doesn't go through, what does that mean for these budget questions that you have in the remaining, I think it's only 39 legislative days? What does it mean for immigration? What are the implications for his domestic agenda?
Well, you know, we don't know. And in fact, there probably will be implications, and we'll have a big debate about it, however this comes out. But bottom line, and this is where I appreciate the president and also Republican and Democratic leadership, they're telling the members that you've got to dig deep into your soul, and this has got to be your moral conviction about what's right. It can't be the political considerations. So I really respect the president that he's come to Congress, engaged us, but that in turn is engaging the American people. And we've got to call this one the way we see it. It's a very serious question. It can't be about what happens on other issues, important as they may be.
And once you hear from the president tomorrow night, are you close to making a decision? Do you think you'll make a decision in the next few days?
I do. You know, it's not like we're at the point where we're going to learn a lot more. I am back so I can read the intelligence reports. I can talk to my colleagues and wrestle with some of these pro and con arguments. But bottom line, there is not a decision we're going to make that isn't going to have some adverse implications. If we don't act, does it give a green light to Assad? If we do act, does it unleash the dogs of war? This is a tough call for the country, and the president did the right thing coming to Congress.
Congressman Peter Welch, always good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you.